Hi everyone, good morning. Welcome to the Spiritus Society of Ireland. My name is Samanta Alves. I am going to be your host today. So before we start, I just wanted to make sure that everything is working. So I'm going to test it on my phone. Just 1 minute. Yeah, okay. Sounds good. I can see and hear everything well here. So I hope everything is working fine for you guys as well. So again, very good morning to all of you. Um, and as I just mentioned, for those who don't know me, my name is Samanta Alves. I am a volunteer in the Spiritist Society of Ireland, and I am part of the Irish Spiritist Federation. I am Brazilian, I always say. So if you don't know that specific fact yet, I am Brazilian, but I'm currently living in Dublin, in Ireland, where our Spiritist Society is, of course. And I am broadcasting from here today as well. So today we are going to continue talking about some more lessons from the Christian agenda written by Chico Xavier and dictated by the spirit André Luis. And one more time, I picked three more lessons for us to discuss today, which are lesson 37, lesson 38, and lesson 39. Okay, so hopefully we'll do a good job this morning. But before we start, let's just do our initial prayer. So you can close your eyes if you wish. Take a deep breath and raise your thoughts to Jesus, to God, to our spiritual friends, and to our mentors. And let's ask them to enlighten us this morning, whatever side we are of the screen, so we can say and listen to the right things, so we can demonstrate in the form of words everything that they want us to either learn or hear once again, or even try or have it as a reminder for a, a practice that we are due to do for quite some time, but we never really do it for many reasons. So let's ask them to give us encouragement so we can put those actions in practice. So we can not only read the books or watch the the, the speeches, but we can also put those words in action in our interactions at home, at work, or even by ourselves so we can be nice and kind to ourselves. And let's thank them for the opportunity to be here, for the opportunity to be not only speaking but listening, because by the time I myself speak, I'm also listening. So let's hope that we all learn from each other today. And so be it. Okay, so I just want to check one more time that everything is fine, and I believe so. If you guys want to interact or to ask any question, just put them in the chat box below, and I'll be accessing the chat box so we can kind of have an interaction session if you wish. Okay. So let's start with lesson 37. As I said, I chose three lessons, and I found that they kind of complement each other in a very nice way. So lesson 37, 38, and 39. Let's see if we can understand them and see if they really make sense to us. Lesson 37, the title is Liberate Your Soul. Do not become attached to the beauty of ephemeral forms. The flower lasts but briefly. Do not heap up precious things that weight in the scale of the world. Golden chains can bind as much as bronze handcuff. Do not become a slave to opinions of the frivolous or ignorant. In Citatus, Cataliga's horse ate from a bucket adorned with pearls, still it did not stop from being a horse. Do not nourish the greed for possessions. The coin collector's house is full of coins which served millions, but whose owners have disappeared. Do not give up your constructive freedom because of human opinions. The trap that punishes the ferocious animal is the same that surprises the negligent canary. Do not believe in the flattery which lends you imaginary qualities. Cruel wasps frequently hide themselves in the calyx of the lily. Do not worry about acquiring immediate benefits in the earth experience. Museums remain crammed full of clocks of kings and other cadavers of dead advantages. So this lesson to me, it speaks about all the shiny material things that we think that we possess in this world, because as we know, as spiritists, we know that we are here more as a passage, and that we are not anything that we have here in this world. They are just instruments for our passage here, so we can do the best that we can with the resources that are provided to us, and that we also are able to get through our work, um, and 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 those resources, a- as the word says, they are just resources. They need to be used in a very conscious and responsible way, because otherwise they don't serve us much. And a lot of times what happens, and it happens to me as well, and that lesson, when I read it, it was very interesting, because it 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 was good for me to kind of remind myself of the importance of things in this world, because we confuse um, possession with being. We are not what we possess. And a lot of times we put a lot of value on things and money and everything that money can buy, and all those material things that we have in the world, um, that, as I said, should function as resources, but they start becoming the end target of our lives, and we forget everything else. So it is important to have those things. I'm not saying they are not, and it's okay to have them as well. So if you have a very nice car, or if you have a very nice house, you worked hard for it, and that's completely fine. The thing that we need to be really, really aware of, and what this lesson is telling us, is don't forget, this is not the most important thing. So it serves as nothing if we have a very nice house, but we don't treat our family members well. So we live inside this beautiful mansion, but we are not really getting the benefit of it, because inside this house there's a lot of discontent, there's a lot of conflict, there's a lot of hate, who knows, right? So it is better to live in a humble house with people that you love, and that you treat well and you treat well and they are part of your life and you love each other, then living in a mansion and feeling alone, or um, treating people badly, or even have a lot of money and resources and people coming to you just because of that, not because of who you are. So the essence here is what we are. But we know all of that, right? So basically, this lesson to me is a reminder, because even though we know all of those things, we are always following them. We are always following, putting too much attention on the material things, forgetting that there are more important, there are things that are much more important than that in life. And those things, we need to work on them the same way as we work to get those material things that we wish so much. So so that's kind of how I understood it. And when it comes to, as says here, do not become attached to beauty or ephemeral forms. The flower lasts but briefly. So to me, this means not only material things, but also our own pride. So we we worry too much with our appearance, what we are wearing, um, you know. So those things as well, I think they are included here. It's more important to think about who we are inside than outside. Outside is important, of course. We need to be, you know, it's nice to be well and to be beautiful as well. We just don't we just can't forget that it's not the most important thing. What is important is inside, and that's why the lesson is titled "Liberate Your Soul." So take yourself out of all of those things that kind of imprison you inside this I need to have, I need to buy, I need to, and feeling that traps you up. Then the next lesson is 38, and the title is Do Not Ruin Your Day. Your irritation will not solve any problems. Your contrarieties will not alter the nature of things. Your disappointments will not do the work that only time will achieve. Your bad mood will not modify life. Your pain will not stop the sun from shining tomorrow over the good and the bad. Your sadness will not illuminate pathways. Your lack of enthusiasm will not edify anyone. Your tears will not replace the sweat and effort which you ought to employ for the benefit of your own happiness. Your complaints, even if affectionately construed, will never increase others' sympathy for you by 1 ounce. Do not ruin your day. Learn from divine wisdom to forgive endlessly, always constructing and reconstructing for the infinite good. So this is this lesson is very heavy in a sense that it's almost like a slap in the face. It's like there's nothing really you can do about things that passed, that they are gone. The milk is already split. There's no more spilt. There's no much more you can do, and complaining about it won't solve the situation. So for for me, this lesson talks about resignation, and it also talks about focusing. You know that story of seeing the glass half full and half filled. So it's a matter of choice. No matter what happened to you, it happened in the past. You won't be able to change it. Now, you can change the future. You can make, we have free will, as we a lot of times talk about here as well. So we can decide what to do with it. We can either be running, or sorry, um, crying about it, but we can also get up and do something about it. And I know it's difficult. I know sometimes the only thing we want is to say, listen, I I wasn't being like, this was not right, and this that happened to me was not just. It shouldn't have happened, and I'm a victim here. And you are. Most of the times you are, and you're right. What this lesson is saying to us is acknowledging it could be okay, at least so you know what happened really. If it's your fault, then you know what happened, you can learn from it. And if it's not, you're not dwelling there. You're dwelling in what can I do to change the situation. And that's what this lesson is telling us about. It's much more important to think about, and it's much more empowering to think about ways you can change the situation instead of thinking about everything that passed that won't change. We have zero power of it. And also, and that was the most important part for me, and especially because I always think that when I'm reading these things, or when I'm preparing for a talk, those things that I'm talking about, they were meant to be for me as well. So I want to say humbly here that I am in this path of learning and perfecting myself. So the part that struck me the most was this in, so let me just find it here. Your complaints, even if affectionately constructed, will never increase the sympathy for you by 1 ounce. So complaining is never seen as a good thing. Even if you complain the best way you can, it's still not going to get the results that you're hoping by doing it. So that was really interesting to me. And again, it shows, and we have a lot of examples in the world of people that had gone through difficult, very difficult situations that we can never imagine, and that hopefully we'll never go through, but they managed to do something about it, to change it, and to become another person, another self after that. So we can learn from those people as well, and try and do something that will actually work for us and take us from that place. And when I say resignation, I mean resignation is one of the lessons that uh, wants us to learn, because it has to do with, a lot of times we need to accept things the way, well, not a lot of times, actually all the time we need to accept things the way they are, because there is a reason for that. And as a spiritist, we know that it's not only what we see in this life that is defining us. There's so much that happened even prior to our birth that influences today, that we don't even know. So we need to resign to it. And when we say resignation, it means accept everything and understand that you are unique, and your circumstances, they are unique to you, and they make you, they are your identity, they are your story. It's you as a person in this world, and it's the only thing that differentiates you from the other 8 billion in the world. It's your own story. So we have to own it and we have to honor it as well. And I need to keep reminding myself of we need to compare ourselves to ourselves in the past, not to other people, because other people have other stories that are unique to them and that they need to honor and that they need um, to actually carry forward with them. So we have our own, and if we compare us to other people, well, first of all, we will most of the times compare us to people that are in a better situation, and it doesn't really put things into perspective because you also need to compare yourself to, if you're comparing, be just in compared to everything, even people that are in worse situation than yours. Um, but it's because also if you look at your past and what you were and everything that you achieved, you see the difference. And that way, everything will make much more sense to you. And you can continue progressing forward with your life. And to me, that's the way of doing it. And lastly, lesson 39, the title is With Jesus. And it says, renunciation will be a privilege for you. Suffering will glorify your life. Tests will expand your powers. Work will be as a mark of confidence along your pathway. Sacrifice will sublimate your impulses. Bodily illness will be a beneficial remedy for your soul. Slander will honor your task. Persecution will be a motive for you to bless many. Anguish will purify your hopes. Evil will summon your spirit to the practice of good. Hate will challenge your heart to manifestations of love. The earth will all its with all its contrasts and unceasing renewals represents a blessed school of individual perfection in whose purifying lessons you will leave selfishness crushed forever. So, especially this last part, kind of, kind of, um, let's say, make sense based, make a lot of sense based on what we just said. Um, that comparison thing that we just said. So it says again, the earth, with all its contrasts and unceasing renewals, represents a blessed school of individual perfection in whose purifying lessons you will leave selfishness crushed forever. Um, so here the title says with Jesus, and the lesson itself never mentions his name. So what does that mean? Now, to me, it means the example of Jesus. It means everything that Jesus did in his time here, in his short time he is here in earth. So again, it says renunciation will be, and it talks about renunciation as we were just discussing as well. Renunciation will be a privilege for you. Suffering will glorify your life. So these are all things that Jesus did, right? Tests will expand your powers. Work will be as a mark of confidence along your pathway. Sacrifice will sublimate your impulses. Sacrifice will sublimate your impulses. Bodily illness will be a beneficial remedy for your soul. Slander will honor your task. Persecution will be a motive for you to bless many. Anguish will purify your hopes. Evil will summon your spirit to the practice of good. Hate will challenge your heart to manifestations of love. So basically, all the things that Jesus did, and that by his example, he wanted to show us, he wanted to teach us. And it's very hard to talk about Jesus as he was the most perfect spirit that passed through us that we know of, and he is our guide. As we believe in Spiritism, Jesus is always taking care of us in earth. So um, he's like he to earth. He's a guide. He's a care, and the morals of Jesus. Jesus is one of the sons of God who an incalculable time ago reached perfection. He is the master of our planet and the model of perfection that we must follow. His life deeds and his moral teachings are contained in the gospel, so we thankfully managed to have everything written down so we could be reminded all the time about everything that he did. Because at that time, we didn't have TikToks, we didn't have all of those things, so there was no filming Jesus doing the nice things that he did. So, but we had writing, and that was really good. The whole moral of Jesus is summed up in charity and humility. That is, in the two virtues contrary to selfishness and pride. In all his teachings, he points to these two virtues as being the ones that lead to eternal happiness. And Jesus coming into the world was absolutely not understood by the Jewish people. The priests did not expect the Redeemer to look for the darkest hour of the night to appear on the earth landscape. According to their conception, the Lord was to arrive in the magnificent chariot of his divine glories, brought from heaven to earth by the legion of his thrones and angels. Now, that is not what we were talking about in the first lesson that we discussed. All of those material, shiny things that we think means good and power, well, not necessarily. He was humiliate and all the kings of the world, giving Israel the supreme authority over all the people of the planet. So that's what they expected. He was to work all wonders, overshadowing the glory of the Caesars. And yet, Christ had arisen among the humble beasts of the manger. He presented himself as the son of a carpenter. And in the fulfillment of his glorious mission of love and humility, he protected prostitutes, he mingled with the poor and humiliated, he visited suspicious houses to uproot their helpers and followers. His favorite companions were the ignorant and humble fishermen, of whom he made beloved apostles. Um, in the book On the Way to the Light, written by Spirit Emmanuel and psychographed by Chico Xavier, there's a chapter, if I am not mistaken, I believe it's chapter 7, that says that where Emmanuel explains that abandoning the temples of the law, he was often found along the Tiberias, on which it's the river, on which in its banks he preached brotherhood and love, wisdom and humility to the simple. Judaism, saturated with pride, could not understand the action of heavenly emissary. Despite the fervent and sincere belief, Israel did not know that all salvation must begin in the depth of each one and fulfilling the prophecies of their own children. They led the divine being, Jesus, to the martyrs of the cross. So, see the way we see things wrongly. Now, we already know those things, as I said. Jesus came 2,000 years ago, and we know all of those things that I'm talking about. We all know, and we all know that Jesus is a model, right? But again, we need to be reminded. We need to be reminded because by we all like life kind of gets in the middle, and you have our day-to-day stuff to do, and we are so concentrated in those things that we end up forgetting. So in question 625, and that's the question um, from the book, the same book that I just said, On the Way to the Light. Oh no, sorry, this is the question from the Spirit's book. And it says, what is the perfect standard that God has offered to humankind as a guide and model? And the answer is, look at Jesus. Jesus is the highest standard of moral perfection to which humankind may aspire on earth. God offers him as the most perfect model, and the doctrine he taught is the purest expression of God's law, because he was animated by the divine spirit and was the purest being that has ever walked the earth. If some of those who claimed to teach God's law to humans have sometimes led them astray with their erroneous principles, it is because they allow themselves to be dominated by strong earthly sentiments, and because they confuse the laws regulating the conditions of the life of the soul with those regulating the life of the body. Many of them presented as divine laws what were really only human laws, created to serve their own passions and to dominate others. So, again, this is just what we were talking about. It is because they allow themselves to be dominated by strong earthly sentiments, and because they confuse the laws regulating the conditions of the life of the soul with those regulating the life of the body. Um, and one last mention that I want um, to make this morning is in the book The Comforter by Spirit Emmanuel, psychographed by Chico Xavier in item 225. It says, I think the title of the chapter is Work. And I think it's chapter 4, if I am not mistaken, but I have the extract here. And Emmanuel explains that considering this real aspect of the soul salvation problem, we are compelled to recognize that if divine providence has mobilized all the resources indispensable to the material progress of physical man on earth, the gospel of Jesus is heaven's supreme gift for redemption of the spiritual man on the march towards universal love and wisdom. So basically, Jesus is the supreme model, and we know that it is difficult for us to act in these ways, and a lot of times those things that we need to to um, to have resignation about, or even those material things that we want to achieve, those things they are important. But if we try and have Jesus as the supreme model, then we kind of set us up for success, because we are not going, we in acquiring those things, or um, in trying to move out of a situation, we are following the right path, which is the path that he followed. And the gospel is the script for the ascension of all the spirits in the struggle, learning on earth about the higher plans of the unlimited. From its application comes the light of the spirit. And we have the Gospel According to Spiritism by Allan Kardec. So it's a very good book if you have the opportunity to do um, gospel at home once a week. You can use the book and read a part of the book every week. So that way you are being reminded again. And it's like, come to earth, and work on those things or learn this specific item. So it's all the time this small seed that we are basically planting in our soul so we can carry forward with our lives in the best way possible. And in the turmoil of daily tasks, remember the Lord's affirmation, I am the way, the truth, and the life. If the temptations of authority and power, or fortune and intelligence surround you, still remember his words. No one can go to the Father except through me. And if you feel touched by the cold breath of adversity and pain, if you are reloaded with work in the world, seek always to hear him in the essence of the soul. Whoever desires to find the kingdom of God, let them take their cross and follow my footsteps. That's what he said to us. So I think it's a good way to end our talk today. So we finish our lesson here, and I don't see any question in the chat box. So just want to thank you all for being here, for watching, and for learning this morning with me. And if you are struggling, if you have any problem and you want to talk to someone or you want to seek help, we always say there is this mental health island.ie website where you can find a lot of information about mental health. This is an Irish website, but you find a lot of good information there, and it applies to anywhere anyway. And there's also the Samaritans. So the website is samaritans.org. The telephone number here in Ireland is 116123. And that was basically it for me. So to finish, I just want to say that we are back with our public meetings in person. So we are having it every 2 weeks. However, next week, because it's a holiday, we are not going to have our session in person, but it will be the week after. So the 9th of November, we'll have our meeting in person. And if you want to know where we are, go to our website that we have the address, the new address there as well. So you can find all the details there on Facebook, on our Facebook page. And yeah, so that's it. And for that, and we also have our talk shows in the form of lives every Tuesday and Thursdays at 7:15 p.m. We have our study groups every Wednesday. We do well. The talk shows are from Facebook and YouTube, but our study groups, we do it on Zoom, and it's from 8 to 9 every Wednesday. So if you want to participate, you can just send us an email and we will send you all the details so you can participate. And the email is spiritismisland@gmail.com. We also have our healing sessions every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. on YouTube. It's a very short session, 15 to 20 minutes max. It's only for us to really come together and set our vibration to a better level every day. So, well, sorry, the session is every Tuesday, but I mean, it helps us in our everyday life. And again, if you need anything or if you want to talk to us, send us an email. It's in our Facebook page. Everything you find there. You can even send us a message through there as well, and we reply to you. And I think that's it then. I will end with our final prayer. So if you want to close your eyes and take a deep breath, raise your thoughts to Jesus and to God, to our spiritual friends and to our mentors. And let's thank for everything that we learned today. And let's thank Jesus for so much goodness, for everything that he did for us and continue doing. Let's hope that we can follow his paths and that we can continue learning from him as a model and guide so we can step by step improve ourselves. Let's thank him again for being our guardian and our master on earth. And with this good energy and vibration, we end the session and ask for a very good week ahead. So be it. Thank you so much, everyone. Again, thank you for being here, and I hope it has been it had have been good for you, and that you as well as me learned from this session. So thank you. Have a great Sunday and rest of weekend, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you.